Hello there, my demon and hellish animation lovers! My name's Dee. Vivienne and her team has finally surprised us once again with a new episode of Helluva Boss, always keeping us interested with the characters and atmosphere of this hellish world. And you know me, I don't need much to be entertained. And even though Helluva Boss is often criticized, we cannot forget the impact and hype this hellish universe has had on the internet. And plus, the upcoming release of Hazbin this summer, I remind you, only reinforces my belief in a new explosion of hype and interest in all kinds of demons and their fight with each other, and with angels. Well, preferably with angels. Well, after all, we're all waiting for that and many more. However, as much as I love Vivienne's universe and all the cool ideas they show us, we just cannot ignore the fact that sometimes, well, actually, quite frequently, Helluva Boss isn't as perfect as we'd like it to be. Sometimes the story doesn't even know why it needs these exact characters. And those are main characters, in fact. And again, plot sometimes doesn't really go anywhere new. Or those famous sudden dirty jokes with vulgarity and other debauchery and curses that don't add maturity to the work, but only show that Helluva Boss really wants to be an adult cartoon. But just like all those parodies of The Simpsons and Family Guy, they can only pretend to be an adult by inserting things that are kinda adult, like dirty jokes and swearing and so forth. Because that's what adults do, right? That's what makes adults adults, right? Right? That's how it works, according to this logic. However, I wouldn't say that it's always harmful towards this project. After all, it's a cartoon about damn demons in a damn hell, and it's obvious that in episodes where the setting is clearly related to the lust, succubi, and a damn Asmodeus, the local big daddy of the lust circle, then it fits the project perfectly. But not every episode is about that, right? This, in some way, makes me a little sad, to be honest. However, let's remember that a good drama is present in the series. This is especially evident in the relationship between Stolas and Octavia. Since the release of the second episode of Helluva Boss, we were first shown the dynamics of these characters, and to this day I consider it one of the best episodes in the entire series. But overall, as in any work, Helluva Boss sometimes experiences difficulties and deserves criticism, but this does not negate its merits. Otherwise, I would not like it, and it would not have such an audience. You agree with me on this one. Because why would you click on this video in the first place, right? In the end, the animation that almost has no claims turns into a gorgeous action. Oh damn, and the battle with Stryker from the just released 4th episode of the second season is just top-notch in my opinion. And the deadly slaughter with agents in the 6th episode of the first season is just a sight to behold. Sometimes you just can't believe that this is a freaking web-animated series released here on YouTube. Only respect and admiration, seriously. And once again, Helluva Boss is not perfect project. You see, in some of those animations you can find a very quick frame changes, which can disorientate the viewer. So yeah, as you may have already guessed, we're not talking in vain about how everything is bad or everything is perfect. We love animation and cinematography in general. So let's take a look at the current state of the Helluva Boss with the release of the 4th episode of the second season, how people like it or not, and just share our opinions with each other, okay? Let's go! So, what exactly goes on the 4th episode of the second season titled Western Energy? Surprisingly for me, we have finally returned to one of the most interesting storylines of this series, namely Stolas and his extremely complicated situation in his marriage, in which no one is happy in the end. Stolas hates Stella for turning his life in hell into a living hell. Let's say, constantly pouring poison, and Stella herself also hates Stolas to the extreme. And as expected from the incompetent fool, all she can do is go and complain to her brother Andrelphus, whose design I find very attractive. He kinda looks like a frosty peacock. Seriously, as soon as I saw his first concept designs, it was clear right from the start that the character is A. Charismatic. That guy is very charismatic and interesting character. And B. Slick and calculating. Just look at those sly, villainous eyes. Scumbag-looking eyes. I love such scumbags. He just needs some emotionally charged dialogues and other twists that will break the lives of the other characters, and it will be just awesome. I'm quite sure this character has a wild potential. However, it's a little disappointing that they didn't introduce him as cool as he could have been. You know, when a character is first introduced, they should create some kind of tension just by their appearance. Well, on the other hand, maybe it's okay they just show him in such circumstances in a cafe. I'll leave that up to your interpretation. And by the way, have you seen his palace? He's a true hellish marquis, no doubt. However, I feel like there is not enough of him. Vivian freaking intrigued me and doesn't reveal much about this character yet. I really hope they don't dump him and he turns out to be exactly as I described him to you. And Andrealphus is much more interesting and engaging than Stella. You can see in him those exact aristocrats of hell that Stryker hates, who appear in the same episode where he finally shows the melted angelic weapon in action. A simple imp disarms one of the demons of Goetia and even almost kills and tortures him. This even becomes a plotline, and we finally see Blitz's real emotions about this situation, when he realizes and, well, even gets shocked that it turns out Stolas can be hurt. Well, it does make sense after all. Again, the demon of Goetia is a no joke, and hurting someone like him, so to speak, is also a very difficult task if you're not a supreme demon. And Stryker reveals himself much better than before. You can see how he hates this demon royalty. You can see his anger, resentment, and how he periodically revels in it, poking Stolas with a knife. I will ignore these inappropriate jokes, of course, because they don't amuse me. But Stryker's personal song performed by those Texas demons is wildly entertaining to me. It's as if I'm watching Rango movie, and for those who don't know, Rango is an epic work of legendary status. Hit me up if you want me to tell more about this awesome movie. However, no matter how many positive things I see in Helluva Boss in this episode, I hope you will agree with me that, just like in any other work, it's just like a peacock, Andrealphus, spreads its fair share of problems that we sometimes need to talk about and discuss. So let's just go along the list. Starting with the first and most obvious problem. Even a blind person can see that sometimes characters are intentionally made more stupid so that the plot can happen. All well-known to us characters are much smarter and skilled for certain situations. Otherwise, the plot won't go far if they acted just like they were supposed to. And oh boy, there's a great example for this. Stella. My god, she was made such a dimwit that it is just scary to imagine. Even though she was previously portrayed as a victim of marriage of convenience in the Goetia family and may have reasons to hate Stolas. Maybe she also hates this artificial marriage. And maybe she had a brain, but no! They made her dumb, as if she didn't know that she wouldn't get anything after Stolas' death. She's just nothing, nobody. And moreover, in the conversation in the cafe and in all available scenes of this cartoon, it seems that Stella absolutely doesn't care about her daughter. In the same scene with the conversation about the property that we will receive, they could have added some kind of depth to this moment and hinted that she actually cares about her daughter in her own way. But no, let's just turn Stella into cardboard-feathered idiot. And even though she got married and had a child against her will, and not only Stolas is a victim in this situation, they could have just somehow developed this family drama. But again, no. And this is upsetting. Thus, Stella's character has completely degraded and fallen to the depths of hell. Well, you get the idea. However, let's remember that appearance of the Andrealphus in the first scene balances out the stupidity and degradation of Stella. He seems to embody this cunning state of mind that Stella was actually supposed to have. She could have been this cunning, aristocratic scumbag with brains who hated this whole situation and wanted to take all of the Stolas' wealth into her own hands. She would have pulled off some kind of a elaborate scheme, or for example, again, she ordered Stryker, as happened in this episode, to slowly poison his life and so on. That would have made sense. And without Andrealphus, well, life would certainly not be easy for her. But I hope that Stella will develop in some way, other than just hating on Stolas. Otherwise, she couldn't care less about her daughter, she hates Stolas, and then by this logic, I'm curious why Octavia even cared about her parents' divorce at all. And in fact, only one parent even cared about their daughter. Stella hardly mentions Octavia at all. She seems to have never spoken her name throughout the entire series. Well, actually, remind me if she did, because I'm really curious. Did she never once mention her name in this whole 2 seasons? Damn, that's harsh. But for now, at this point in the story, her character has been reduced to a pretty white stool. While her brother Andrealphus intrigues me. I see power in him, some kind of icy aesthetics. Brains, for goodness sake! And once again, this demonic royalty. Andrealphus seems like an interesting character with great potential, and I'm really looking forward to his further development. Oh, and by the way, remember how I talked about characters being dumbed down for the sake of the plot? Please, meet Stryker, one of the best imp mercenaries, comparable to Blitz, Moreover, due to his seriousness and the build-up of any danger, he was one of the most interesting characters in the first season, possessing charisma, skills, and once again, brains. He was the one who carefully and cautiously prepared in the previous season just to have a chance to shoot Stolas, as the Goetia demon can just simply erase you with just one gaze. It was justified, it was interesting, and it built us a really cool lore with which characters had to interact with and not go beyond its boundaries. And as you know, one of the most important and interesting things in the entire universe of Vivienne Medrano was once again the lore of your work. And when the characters are forced to follow the lore and we see it, then, well, the series opens up beautifully. But let's get back to Striker's stupefaction. Here, an extremely cautious and calculated Striker flies through the window and starts shooting at Stolas, who does freaking nothing! How is that even possible? Huh? Excuse me? Striker became dumb and went straight for the highest Goetia demon, and the highest demon did not erase this filth with just one gaze. He started running and flying. It would have been more logical if Striker suddenly appeared from behind and unexpectedly tied Stolas with a blessed rope. It would have surprised both of us, as viewers and Stolas, since catching a demon off guard is kinda still possible. But not like this circus of idiots that these two guys created in the cafe scene. Then Striker listens for another minute as Stolas calls for backup using his phone. He waited until they discussed him, called him sexy, and only then took the phone and broke it for some reason. Why? If he didn't give a damn about this conspiracy, he could have immediately sent them the geolocation of where he's taking Stolas over the phone. It seemed to me he doesn't care at all, and has lost his big brain that we previously saw. And Stolas behaves wonderfully with his hints. Oh no, I'm in danger, for about 3 to 4 minutes, even when Striker actively pokes him with some sharp objects. And here it is, the classic buffoonery, with jokes that really ruins the mood of the scene. There could be drama here, and we would be worried about Stolas. Here is he being tortured. He's Striker that revels and enjoys his ability to poke and stab and mock the demon royalty whom he hates. But this buffoonery with, oh, harder, oh, something else, this exact buffoonery is now causing Marvel Studios to suffer and cannot be taken seriously by the audience. Now I see this more and more in Helluva Boss, which disappoints me, because for who it is said at the beginning of each episode that the show is for adults, so show me that maturity. Show the theatrical drama that will make me and all other people of different age and gender worry. Something that will make me worry about the characters, only using their words and dialogues. Well, okay, actions too. It's a cartoon after all, we want to watch a nice-looking show, and not pretending that all the maturity of the work is just swearing and vulgarity, because it's only an imitation of adults' work, as if children decided, and what adults can do and we cannot. Right, we'll do it now, I guess. It feels like some episodes were written just like this. Of course, there were other problems in this episode. Simply put, for the first time, the team, for some reason, tried to split the series into 2 timelines. Here we have Blitz and Luna that were chasing each other, and Millie and Moxie were trying to take down Striker. I just don't get it, why they did this. Maybe because they never done this before. Also, during the battle, for some reason they turned on this pop music that didn't really inspire fighting. In my experience as a viewer, while watching an episode, I can clearly say that using the right music, and only music, one can add 30 or even 50% to the atmosphere during a fight, or any other action that happens on the screen. And again, this scene in Striker's cave. Thanks to this pop music, the entire atmosphere is being killed. It would be okay if the joke with the pop music lasted for just 30 seconds, but here it lasts almost the entire fight, and it really ruins the perception. But despite everything I said before, I know that you can do cool things. You've done this before, and I know this. Although now the author seems to be just copying their own cool ideas. Well, for example, that joke with Moxie and Striker was choking him, and Moxie said something like, harder, harder, daddy. Ugh. Made me cringe so hard that sweet Mary Mother of Joseph, how do I unsee this? This joke only works with Angel Dust from Hazbin Hotel. It was appropriate there and only works in that one instance. Why did they decide to put it here? Where is Millie's famous power? As soon as she saw her husband being choked, would not just free herself, but would simply bite this axe into small pieces and speed off the shards at the Striker, turning him into a bloody mess. No? It seems to me characters sometimes forget who they really are. Sometimes it's just really unclear what the show and certain episodes is trying to tell us. Again, some episodes are really good, we all know that, but sometimes, again, something inexplicable happens. In the beginning, it was a story about demons who were hired to do all sorts of crappy jobs. But now it seems like they've lost their way. To such a state that for 2 episodes from now, Luna, one of the main characters in this story in fact, hasn't been able to say a single word! There is no battle between Striker and Blitz, which was used as a big part of their dynamic. For me as a viewer, it would be much more interesting to see how Striker and Blitz would exchange some one-liners during a battle. Moxie suddenly learned how to defeat strong demons, even though he used to be a weakling, if you remember. The sound design seemed to have disappeared. When the gas station falls, there is no sound whatsoever. In this episode, they for some reason skipped even some of the sounds that were supposed to be there. Moxie and Millie relationships seem to be improving since the last episode, which I admire. Let's not forget about that. But it's not enough. But I think we're going in the right way and there will be some improvements. All because it's a second season and we don't get much information about their relationship. But fine, if we don't like this, well, main characters. There's always Stolas, I guess, right? Who became one of the main heroes of this series, and other royalty and their problems. And this divorce storyline seems to be endless. And some dramatic moments are just, well, repeating themselves for no reason. And I don't know why. Why would you do that? I don't know. However, despite listing its problems that are clearly visible in this episode, I am still interested in this hellish universe. After all, nobody said the characters' relationship wouldn't develop and we might get some dramatic point by the end of the season. I just hope the season finale won't be like the first one that we never saw. That's right. It's not out yet. Nevertheless, I'm eagerly waiting for the future episodes, especially since Andrelphus and all these intrigues of the royalty remain the most interesting part of the Helluva Boss series. And I'm really hoping for the development of this exact storyline. And besides, Hazbin Hotel is coming soon, and I'm sure, I want to be sure that this will surprise us because we've all been waiting for this long enough. But I won't lose my attention on Helluva Boss either. And I hope that by the end of the season, most of my words will become irrelevant. And you know what they say, I want to believe. But of course, you should subscribe to my channel and put a like. Truthfully, it means a lot to me. There's still a lot of interesting things about cartoons, so don't hesitate, y'all. And stay tuned. Thank you, and I see you in the next one!